Ready? Ready? Okay. A regular meeting of the Delta County Commissioners is being held this date pursuant to the following call. In the letter to the Commissioners dated March 27, 2025, and reading as follows. The Honorable Members of the Delta County Commissioners, dear Commissioners, a regular meeting of the Delta County Board of Commissioners is scheduled for Tuesday, April 1st, 2025 at 5:15 p.m. in the conference room of the Delta County Service Center. Sincerely yours, Nancy Presrocki, Delta County Clerk. Please rise for a word of prayer. Lord, as we begin this meeting, we are thankful for our many blessings. We ask for guidance to help our commissioners make decisions in the best interest of the citizens of our county. And Lord, we pray for the safety of our military men and women and our first responders. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Commissioner Melner?
Here.
Commissioner Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Williams?
Here.
Commissioner Van Genhoven?
Here.
And Commissioner Jensen?
Here. Okay. Welcome all. We will move on to number 5, the approval of the minutes from previous meeting, county board meeting on 3/18/25. Can I get a motion?
Move approval?
Support.
Any discussion?
Yes, there is a correction that needs to be made on the minutes. Under approval of agenda, it said the motion failed and Van Genhoven opposed. It was Johnson who opposed, so that just needs to be corrected.
Okay. After the correction, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 6, approval of the agenda as
Move to approve?
Support.
all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 7, presentation of written communications received and forwarded.
Move to place on file?
Support?
Sorry, John.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed.
Sorry.
We're in a hurry tonight. Number 8, reports of standing statutory and special meetings and others. There was none. Public comment on agenda items. Any public comment on agenda items? Any public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, we will move on to committee reports. Administrator report. She is on vacation. Hope she's enjoying herself. Number 2, Building and Grounds Committee minutes.
I'm sorry, do we need to place her administrator's report on file?
Did she have one?
There is none.
There is no report?
No.
Oh, okay. That just goes to show that I didn't look to see if her report was there.
Building and Grounds minutes from 3/7/25, a correction.
Motion to approve?
Support.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Departmental updates. Any departmental updates? Any departmental updates? Seeing none, we will move to unfinished business, utility easement for OB Solar Park. Upco,
Do you want me to take that?
if you want to take that, that would,
Okay, so we did get kind of late, but Tracy was able to get us the updated easement that UPCO had reviewed, and that was based on our last meeting's changes to an item about removal of brush and trees and so forth within the easement. And we had added or modified a paragraph that gave them basically, just carte blanche to do whatever they wanted. We instead wanted them to work with us to remove brush and trees within our easement area within the park. So if you look at the new updated easement on page 1, the easement agreement, the second, or I should say, the last two paragraphs on page 1, outside of the park, it gives them full control like they would normally have on highways and so forth. But inside the park, they will work with us, the grantor, to remove brush and trees, and that they recognize the importance of those trees and shrubs along the banks of, oh, you know what? They accidentally put Ford River, it's supposed to be Bark River. So that does need to be modified, but I think if we were okay with this, we could accept with the change that it would say Bark River, not Ford River. But those trees and shrubs are important to control erosion along that river, and that it's important we have a park aesthetic that is maintained. So they basically took our language verbatim, with the exception of this very last part of the last sentence of the last paragraph on page 1. And it does say, except in the event of an emergency. So in an emergency, they would not have to contact us and work with us to remove trees and shrubs, which makes sense to me. If it's an emergency, it's an emergency. I think that I would be okay with that. But they did modify it as we had requested. So if folks are okay with it, I would make a motion that we approve this easement with the utility easement being buried, and it's on the west side of the road into O.B. Fuller Park, taking it from overhead lines to a burial situation.
With the correction, correct?
With the correction of it saying Bark River, not Ford River.
Do we want them to define emergency, or is that just too nitpicky? Like-
I mean, it's a good question.
Like, is power outage absolutely emergency?
No.
Is
Fires and emergency.
fires an emergency?
Flooding's an
But-
emergency.
But is our definition of an emergency their definition of an emergency?
It certainly is a good question. It does, it does say except in the event of an emergency, and if they are defining an emergency, they do have full control.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I would be okay with that.
An emergency is usually something of short duration as well. It's not like, it runs, necessarily months or
Right.
something like that. It's something that's, literally short in nature too.
Yeah.
Right, but I would hate to also see something like, we really have strong feelings about this giant oak tree that just looks amazing, and UPCO's like, well, it's probably gonna come down and we need to cut it. Oh, shoot, one branch came down. Oh, the whole darn thing goes because it was an emergency.
It was an emergency. I mean, it's a valid point. We could go back to them. I could remove my motion from the floor, and we could go back to them and have them correct the river, and then also either have them strike that or define what emergency is.
Is this a
I-
time-sensitive issue at all?
I think some folks would say it is and others would not. So I would say that we have a little bit of time right now. 2 more weeks I don't think is going to make a huge difference. But, we're pushing up against construction deadlines, so.
Yeah, I do appreciate Commissioner Johnson's wanting that, definition of emergency. I mean,
Clarified.
Might as well just,
I mean,
if
if,
we have the time.
yeah, UPCO's always been great to work with. And
Yeah.
I've never seen an issue, but the UPCO of today might not be the UPCO of,
It is true, and this
tomorrow.
is an easement that is in perpetuity. So, we're not, this isn't something that we're going to revisit. So I think
Right.
it's a very good point, yeah.
So are you gonna strike your motion
I
then?
will strike my motion from the floor, yeah.
And then you're gonna have that written up and have them explain what an emergency is?
Either we'll ask them to strike that at the end, or they would have to define what emergency
Okay.
means.
And
And
then
then
the-
fix Ford River to Bark
Bark
River,
River.
and then we'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Okay,
Okay.
okay then. So we will move on to new business, payment of bills.
The administrator examined all claims presented and recommended that payment of the following, and that the county clerk be directed to issue orders on the county treasurer to the claimants for the amounts allowed. Total claims of $2,886,949.23, and commissioners' expenses of $307.60.
move we pay our bills?
Support.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Johnson,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Van Genhoven,
Yes.
Jensen,
Yes.
and Melner.
Yes. Okay, bills are paid. Number 2, Pathways Annual Update. And Matt is the CEO.
Good afternoon, everybody. I thank you for allowing me to address the county commission today. As John said, my name is Matt Mascart. I've been at Pathways for 26 years now, in 26 in days now, apparently. And I've been in the CEO seat for right around 3 years now. And we've been provided the year in review as part of the Michigan Mental Health Code requirement that we provide an update to the county commission on a regular basis. We've done that in the past through a planning and programming guide that's difficult to read and just doesn't tell you really as much as I want to provide you today. So I want to change that up. I'd like to meet with you on a yearly basis and just give you the kind of the not only the nuts and bolts about what's going on at Pathways, but also the color commentary of additional things that we've been doing and kind of the success stories, so to speak. Feel free to stop me at any time during the presentation to ask questions if you'd like, and kind of go from there. So now on page 2 is the Michigan map. Pathways is an authority of the county government. So we were formed in 1998 with the merger of Delta County Community Mental Health, which thankfully I was part of, and I was working at Pathways at Delta County, CMH at the time, with Superior Behavioral Health, which is Alger, Luce, and Marquette counties. So through the state of Michigan, there was mergers and try to bring the responsibility of mental health services, which is the county's responsibility, to look, let's, rather than having each county have its own mental health authority, let's kind of combine those into bigger groups, so to speak. So we're under a governmental contract to provide specialized mental health services to Alger, Luce, Delta, and Marquette, of course. The Pathways mission statement is here. We serve and empower people with severe mental illness, severe emotional disturbances, or developmental disabilities to enhance their quality of life. There's kind of 2 points of that I'd like to just kind of point out. One is that the serve and empower for quality of life. It really is about recovery-oriented services is what we're trying to deliver. And the other part is the populations we serve. We're required to serve those with severe mental illness, severe emotional disturbances. Severe mental illness is adults with severe and persistent mental illness, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression. Severe emotional disturbances is children with childhood trauma, again, other areas that impede their life of going to school or working with their family, or those children and adult with developmental disabilities, autism, and other diagnoses of Down syndrome and the like. So those are our primary population. Those that would be a mild to moderate mental illness, that mild depression, of that type of thing would be screened at Pathways and then referred out to other community providers. As anybody that's worked with community providers for mental health, there's not a lot that are offered in any of our communities, and there's always a great need for it within our schools and as well as in the community. So within those 3 primary populations, we also serve, if your diagnosis is a severe mental illness and you do have some substance use disorder, we also serve them as long as the disorder is, the mental health disorder is a primary. Since we are a government-sponsored system underneath the county's got the role of the county is very important to Pathways for appointing board members, advocacy, and further integration, and making sure that we're providing a good service to the county, and you have the oversight and direction. So the graphic shows there's 46 community mental healths throughout Michigan, and we're the largest in the UP geographically as well as counties-wise, and we pride ourselves on service in our communities. Before we move on, I really wanted to point out that there is, over the years have been talk of institutions where the Newbury State Hospital was closed down in 1992 here in the UP. There's been talk of, well, we need to go back to that type of model. I really would be remiss if I didn't at least bring that up, that's something that's been talked about over the years of going back to that type of model. It really has been another failure, which is why we ended up with the community-based system that we have now. The asylums, as they were first called by the Michigan Constitution back in 1835, it was led to overcrowding and no recovery and no choice. So this model brings people out of that warehousing of individuals, takes them out of the asylums and really moves them into community treatment, which is much more economical. We can serve for the same $3.5 billion that the Michigan has to run the 46 community mental health. If we had them all in a institution-based or asylum-based, it would serve 9,500 individuals. Right now, we serve 350,000 with that same dollar. So it's an economical model. It provides freedom and choice, and it's really the preferred method. Onto page 3 of those that we serve. You can see it's an ever-increasing angle of the colors, the bar charts there. We could serve year over year, have served 6% more every year within our system. Those that would be not only individuals that would be one time of a crisis issue, that we provide 24/7, 365 crisis services and supports. Could be therapy, it could be case management, it could be children in the homes. We've got other community programs that we provide, and we've got an array of services that's required by the state, by the Michigan Mental Health Code, as well as the Department of Health and Human Services, and those are the individuals that we serve. Page 4 is the blue and yellow bars. That's just a breakdown of the same information for children versus adults by the 4 counties. As we get deeper into the nuts and bolts, into the funding sources, the Michigan mental health system, public mental health system is really funded primarily by Medicaid. As you can see, the big blue chunk of the funding sources. We're at 93% of our funding comes from capitated monies. That means that the actuaries and the state says, this is how much it takes to run your organization, and then they give us that amount. So that's what we have to serve every year. If the costs are higher, that's what we have, and that's what we have to stay within our budget on things. So the first 2, Medicaid and Healthy Michigan, are capitated. Those are, like I said, just the money that we get. Others, like the local, comes from the counties, primarily from the counties. Each of the counties, was when we established Pathways back in 1998, there was a set dollar amount that was established at that time, and that number has stayed the same since 1998, and is still that same number today. If you go to the next page, it's the operating expenses. Again, the big blue slice of the pie is contract residential. So the reason I bring up the institutions and the asylums is that those are potentially those individuals that we serve that are most expensive are now in the community, and those are our responsibility to serve them in the community. We have homes in all 4 of our counties that serve individuals 24/7, 365, in group home environments where they have freedom, choice, and are out in the community doing things. Staffing overview is kind of my next line chart or line graph here. This is basically what you're looking at there is at the end of the year for what we were recruiting. That number, of course, like any organization, fluctuates up and down throughout the year, but it was just a snapshot here of how many we're recruiting. In the last couple of years, we've had difficulty, just like any organization has had for recruiting talent and retaining talent. We've struggled over the past, from in the early 2020s, with the advent or the bringing forth of school-based mental health services. I've got 3 kids up in this school, up in Marquette. Absolutely of 100% in favor of school-based mental health services for those that need it. But what it has done is that money that the Governor Whitmer has allocated towards that and given to the schools has turned around and had a mass exodus of staff from Pathways moving over into the school-based system. And that's just not Pathways, that's all the community mental health from across the state. It's pretty consistently. So it's something that we've continued to try to work and coordinate with the school systems, because if they've got resources and they need to refer an individual that has severe and persistent mental health needs, then they're referring back into a system that doesn't have the staff any longer because now they're working over in the schools. So we've continued to advocate. I was down at the House and Senate subcommittee meetings last year advocating for just that anytime that the House and Senate wants to appropriate money for school-based mental health or any mental health, they need to look at the cost impact for other systems and how that would factor in, so.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
I was just looking at your recruiting, which is almost back at like the 2018 level. And then you look at the number of people you're serving, there's a significant increase in workload per staff member if this is the case, right? I mean,
is.
okay, so you're obviously still serving people who are coming in, even though your staffing levels are.
And we can't turn people away.
Right.
We're the public safety net, so we serve them and continue to serve them the best we can with the resources we have.
Okay, thank you.
Now, that recruiting line chart, the one piece that the story that doesn't tell the story is now we're down at right around 3% of our open positions, our positions being recruited for. That's a huge success, as John knows. My goal was under 5% being open. But what that really does is it brings a lot of green or inexperienced individuals into our care, which
Sure.
is great that we've got individuals that are serving. But from 2019 to 2023, we went from an average of 6.8 years of service for the clinical team. That includes supervisors and everybody, just anybody that serves individuals. 6.8 years. And then 2 years later, we were down at 3.8 years, a drop of 45%. So
Okay.
if you take out the supervisor tier, now we're down to, a year, maybe 2 of staff that are trying to work through an extremely complicated system. And as you know, government regulations and the like make things pretty difficult at times to effectively move forward. So we really try to have these clinical professionals as trained and as they can, but it's extremely difficult.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's successes and challenges, my favorite part. We've, over the last few years, the last calendar year, fiscal year '24, CARF is the accreditation, Commission for Accreditation of Rehabilitation Services. It's our accreditation. And Pathways, again, has received a 3-year accreditation, which is the longest accreditation that they provide for us. That's a big testament to the tens of thousands of different things that they check and look at and things. And we went through and did very, very well. So we're really proud of that. The Bell Seal for Workplace Wellness, as you know, that your workplace organizational culture can retain people or drive people away depending on your culture. We've looked at it and said, we need to have a third party take a look at this. What does this mean for us? And we've moved from a gold seal from a third party, the Bell Seal team, the Bell Seal group that provides this accreditation review. We went from a gold seal in 2023 to platinum, and 24. So we're stepping in the right direction and really proud of how we were able to increase our culture. And I know that I'm getting long-winded here, but allow me just one more. The real success here is the behavioral health home. It's an integration between physical health and mental health. It's been something a program that we've stood up, and it really works on trying to reduce the amount of hospitalizations, trying to provide the physical health side of things. So the staff at Pathways go with the individual to their primary care doctor. They integrate with or try to work with those different specialty providers, dentists, that type of thing, to really get them in there. And we've increased those individuals within our care at Pathways that have a primary care doctor by about 2 or 3%, which is great. And the big success that was used as a big success story at a statewide meeting last year was an individual that was in her care. He was in his mid-50s, is in his mid-50s, and had come in with his blood work all out of whack, had diabetes, way over 30 pounds overweight. It was mental health care was all out, was very, he wasn't well. And getting into the behavioral health home and taking care of his physical health has turned around and dramatically helped his mental health as well. The individual is now, his diabetes is under control. He's lost 20 to 30 pounds. He's living much better. His mental health care is much more under control. And the biggest thing that I love to throw out there is that the same individual was at risk of losing his feet due to his diabetes, and is now not in risk of losing his feet. So that's a big testament to the staff of trying to look at and really try to pull in those other professionals and into the community and try to provide some success. We have some headwinds though. Medicaid funding, if you've been watching the news, the feds, the $880 billion cuts that there's talk of, that I'm hoping that goes to only fraud, waste, and abuse, like there's been claims of, but we're not sure where this would be. And since we are, like I said, 90+% funded by Medicaid, this would be a big change. Even if the feds make some change or don't make any changes to the full dollar amount, there could be the federal match. Right now it's 65%. The feds pick up 65% of the Medicaid cost. The state picks up 35%. If they go to 50-50, that could be a huge burden that's now transferred over to the states. So we talked about staffing shortages, and then administrative burdens are always a big thing for staff. I have a clinical supervisor in Newberry that claims that consistently says that staff could spend up to 50% of their time just doing paperwork. So, but in closing, I wanted to leave how to contact Pathways. We ask for your continued support and continued collaboration in the community. And the big one is to continue to appoint individuals to the Pathways Board of Directors who are dedicated to high-quality mental health care in our community. Special thanks to Commissioner Melner, Julie Molker, Steve Howes, and George Botbill, who you've appointed to the Pathways Board of Directors. And they've been a great resource for us and a great liaison to the county. So I appreciate your time and attention here, and I hope to come back again next year and to provide you another update.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You bet.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you for this format too, by the way. This is great, rather than just some written report. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Okay, we will move on to number 3, 2025 Equalization Report.
I feel like I need to just quickly say something, and maybe our equalization person here can help me with this. But we don't have to be actually viewing this until after the second Monday in April each year. And this is the first meeting it's the Tuesday after the first Monday. I have a lot of questions, and I was just wondering if we could defer until the next meeting, and then I could actually ask questions rather than in this forum, just be able to like kind of get to the bottom of some of these questions that I have. I'm just suggesting that we defer to the next meeting, but it's it's up to you guys what you want to do.
The date, it would just be my availability to come back up.
Yeah, so it
For
would be
that.
the next meeting.
So the
Yeah.
15th.
So the 15th of April is the day that it would be.
That's what she's talking about. She can't be here on the 15th.
Yeah, I don't know that I could be here on the 15th.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. Well, if we go forward, I just have questions, so.
Okay.
What type of questions?
Well, I think just fundamentally is the number of acres doesn't match the number of acres that I have from the state of Michigan for some of our areas. So, I mean, these are the kinds of things that I'd love to talk to, like, the assessor of that township or that city and say, why is there such a difference here? You know, something like that. For example, Gladstone. Gladstone has 3,245 acres, but yet the equalization paperwork says it's 5,110. So I don't get why the numbers are off.
I'll be honest, it's been carried forward on the reports from year to year.
That's what
Would you have, can you share the report that you have with me?
Yeah.
As to where you get those acreages?
Yeah, just from the state of Michigan. So these are just online with the state of Michigan. And there's only two townships, well, the city of Gladstone and then Garden, that are off by more than 1,000 acres. And so it just seems odd to me. And I don't really even know what the ramifications of that would be, but it seems like the number should be more accurate. For example, Delta County should be around 750,000 acres, but yet the number of acres on our equalization has 750, almost 757,000. So it's almost 8,000 acres off from.
The acreage part, there's no ramifications on the
Okay.
acreage part of it, but I would like to look at what you have or get on the state website.
I can just give it to you here
Okay.
and you can take it with you. It's just.
There, I was
Yeah.
gonna say, there's some of those that might help with, depending on where it's at, that's actually assessed acreage. There's acres that could fall within that could be state or federal.
Right,
And then
that's what
they
I-
wouldn't be actually assessed
That's true.
by that.
But then it should be the opposite way.
It should, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the one that was just really concerning to me was Gladstone, since it was off by, 1,800 acres. And I don't know if, for some reason Gladstone has more acres than what the state of Michigan is claiming that they have. I don't know. But the numbers just didn't jive. And it just, I don't understand this well enough, and I just started looking at it yesterday. So I was hoping to be able to contact the assessor in Gladstone and the assessor in Garden and just say, hey, why is there a discrepancy here? And just go from there. Because there may be a really good reason or a good explanation, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. Yeah, like I say, there's no ramifications on the acreage part of it. The valuation part of it is more of what the state is looking for when they do their equalization, all the way down from your local level to the county level to your state level. That's more of what the report, they're gonna be looking at. So,
Okay.
but like you say, I would like, if there's those kind of discrepancies, I would like to get those corrected for going forward.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think this report is for last year, right?
Yes.
So this would be closing out like last year.
Yes.
So what we could do is move forward on it and then say, we need to really look at this for 2026.
Yeah.
And make sure that these discrepancies are either defined or changed, Okay.
Was there any questions you had on the valuation portion of it?
No, because I just started looking at it
Okay.
yesterday and I got to this point where I was looking at acreage and I'm like, wow, this is off. So I didn't even look at any
Okay.
more of the report because I didn't get past that part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the report is generated from what the townships have equalized with us at the conclusion of their board of review. We gave them their studies, all units came in within their ratios of 49 to 50, so there are no state equalization factors put on any of the municipalities, which is obviously the goal. You don't want to draw attention by something like that. So this is strictly assessed value. This is not what your taxes are generated on. So overall, the county has a value of $2,215,622,923 for this year. Now, this, we will be presenting the taxable value report, which is probably of more interest because that's revenue bearing. And I did complete that report. However, we don't normally present that until like May. So I will have that information available ahead of time so that you can review that
Okay.
prior to that time. If there's any other questions or anything you have, feel free to email me or give me a call.
I do have a question on page 2, and it's column 5, the timber cutover. Why we have absolutely no values in timber cutover. Does that mean that there's no timber cutover lands that are assessed in any of our townships?
So that's a property class, a timber cutover property class that nobody uses. They're able to use it, but there's no,
So like our resource production in Delta County wouldn't have any timber cutover?
no. It's up to the assessor how they want to class it. Because it doesn't make a difference as far as taxation goes.
Oh, okay,
Everybody pays on the same millage rates, no matter what the property class is.
okay,
So, we have gotten to where nobody has classed any of the timber cutover or developmental.
okay.
And be honest, in all the municipalities that I work in counties, nobody uses those.
Okay. And the reason I asked is because I read the definition of what it was, and I know we have a lot of forest lands are in management programs, and one of the definitions of forest cutover is if your land is in a forest management plan. And so it just seemed to me like we would actually have acres in forest management, or in timber cutover, I guess.
A lot of those are reflected in exemptions.
Okay,
So that's where that is important for them, that they have the proper exemption in place for them per taxes. If they're a taxpayer, that's where they would want to make sure that that is covered, is in their exemption status.
okay, okay. Clearly, I have questions about this,
That's-
because this is my first time going through it, and I'm like, this is interesting, so, okay.
Anything else?
Okay. Is this going to be informational, or do we need a motion on this?
Well, typically, we have a motion on it.
Okay.
Unless you want to carry it to the 15th, but then
Motion.
Shalice won't be here.
Motion to approve.
Can I get support? Support?
Did you
Any
say,
more discussion?
did you say that you could not be here, or you were not aware if you could be here?
I'm not sure if I can be
Okay.
here, and I don't have my calendar with me to be
That's
able to.
fine. Okay, thank you. I just wanted clarification.
So before voting on this, I just want to make it clear that my vote, depending on which direction I go here, is knowing that this is for 2025, so it's already complete. Like, this is a report for 2025, which covers 2024. So it's not, we would then be focusing, we being this group trying to understand these discrepancies better, we'd be focusing on this year. So as you said, we're just carrying forward
Right.
the stuff that's been carried forward for years, and then we can take a look at it and determine whether or not there's any changes that need to be made. So I just want to make clear that voting yes on this is just sort of passing on these potential discrepancies as they have been in the past, so.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, opioid task force bylaws amended. Commissioner Kelly, you want to take that?
No,
I can take it, I guess, if you don't want to.
thank
Do
you.
you not want to? Okay. So the opioid task force had modified their bylaws and had been looking at, could they conduct their meetings using digital technology so that some of their participants, some of the committee members could attend the meetings digitally because there's just a very difficult, it's been very difficult to get quorums. And then also be able to vote over those, over that remote technology. So in looking at the state of Michigan's opioid task force bylaws, the state of Michigan actually allows their state committee, their state task force, to do just that. So what the opioid task force did is amended their bylaws, adding a number 2 in their meetings, which allowed participation over remote technology and then being able to vote over remote technology. Now, the reason why I think that they are okay with that is because although they follow the OMA, they say that they want you to follow the OMA, they are an advisory committee. And because you're advisory, you're exempt from OMA. So I think that that's how they're allowing that, is because they are advisory, even though they want them to have the meetings open to the public. They want meetings, presented, minutes presented in a certain amount of time, and so on and so forth. So I don't think that by accepting the bylaws and allowing them to do this, that we're doing anything in violation of OMA. I just think that's important to point out. But this would allow them to conduct their meetings, both in person and remote, participation, and then be able to vote over remote participation as well.
That's why I said no, because she explained it way better than I could.
Anyways, that's what this is about.
Okay, can I get a motion to accept?
I'll make that motion.
I'll support.
Okay, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Okay, we have number 5, appointments to opioid task force. There's 2 openings.
I would like to make a motion that we reappoint Whitney Kolich and Kyle Kelly to the opioid task force.
I'll support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion pass. Number 6 would be pathways, Julie Moker. I'll make a motion that we accept Julie Moker.
Support.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion passed. Number 7, airport discussion. I guess what we're gonna discuss is the airport manager that we thought was gonna be coming has some interest in that she can't make it now. So we have to go forward and find another manager to come.
Did we, in the interviews, did we have 3 candidates that
We
we
did.
ranked?
Yep.
Okay. Have we reached out to the next candidate in the line?
Well, that's what this meeting, what this is gonna be about, is discussing where we wanna go from there.
Okay.
Mainly, where do we wanna go?
I would like to ask Brian Hero to come up to the podium, please. He was part of our hiring committee, and he is the chair of the airport advisory board.
Thank you. So where we're at, we interviewed 3 candidates. One of them backed out for personal reasons, which was our number 1 choice. We have had a very strong number 2 choice, and we had a relatively strong number 3 choice. However, the number 3 choice did not meet the educational requirements. Talking over, Dennis was on the hiring committee as well, and I've talked to Ashley the other day after this transpired, and I guess kind of where we're at is we're in a time crunch here now. You know, we got inspections coming up. We have Ashley doing airport manager roles on top of her other hats that she wears, which I think is 3 or 4 at the moment. Basically, long story short, I don't believe Ashley by herself can get us through the inspections that are coming up in the coming months. So my ask that talking to Will and Ashley and Dennis is kind of let's reach out to number 2. If she falls through, move immediately into a search firm. We have a proposal on hand. I physically don't have it in hand at the moment, but I believe you guys have seen it from ADK, where they offer placement of an interim as well as an executive search. They expect a search to take 3 months. So my recommendation would be is if our number 2 candidate falls through, let's move immediately into having them place an interim, so we have someone here trained to get us through inspections coming this summer, and hopefully the search is over by the time we do our live fire drill in the later part of the summer. But
August.
we need to keep moving forward.
Thank you, Brian.
Yep.
I have a question for you real quick before you walk away.
Okay.
So the second candidate, we've not reached out to them at
To
this
the
point.
best of my knowledge, neither the second or third choice has been reached out.
Okay. Do we have any indication as to when, like, I think that the first candidate was 60 days out to come in? She
That's
was
correct.
So number 2 was
Also
weeks.
60 days.
Also 60 days.
also 60
Yeah,
days?
Yeah,
Okay.
she said it could be anywhere from 3 weeks to 2 months.
It was
depending on
depending on
finding,
housing.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
finding housing and stuff like that.
Okay,
So if we could, if she found housing quick, it might be quick.
okay, okay.
Do you think we should get a hold of Ashley and I can put her on the phone and see what her thoughts are? Or is it gonna be mainly up to us to decide what we want?
When did she find out about this?
I think it was Friday.
I'd say,
Friday?
I talked to her Friday afternoon.
Okay.
Okay. Because our first candidate accepted
Yes.
and then said that she wasn't going to be able to come for personal,
Yep.
you're saying personal,
Yes.
okay. And she was going to be 60 days out. So if this new person was going to be around 60 days out, that's about the same time frame, right? So it's
We were
not,
looking mainly around May 17th, somewhere in there.
Yeah, we were
Yeah.
trying to get them here for May 19th because there was Part 139 training that
Okay.
was happening on the 19th and the 20th, which would have been a tight time frame for onboarding, but we thought, Ashley thought that she could have made it work. And right now, we're scheduled for FAA inspections in June. So we're looking right now, also, we have to take into consideration that as of April 17th, our administrator is gonna have to have taken her airport manager license because we will not have a license. because
Correct.
have
We
that-
need, we have 90
that
days
lapse.
from Bob's last day to
okay.
get
So
a licensed manager on staff.
We have a
Okay.
lot of, we have a lot of,
Timeline.
This is just a question because I am naive and don't know how airports necessarily function. But we have this FAA inspection. Is there any leeway there? I mean, can we ask to reschedule that?
No.
The short answer is going to be possibly, but I'm in agreement with Matt with no.
Okay.
usually they set the date and then they'll come before, but they won't come later.
Okay,
Right.
okay.
And they want documents uploaded to online share so they can review all the documents prior to
Prior
arrival.
to being here. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they actually lay out their whole calendar,
Yeah.
so.
I mean, it's similar to other sort of accreditation bodies that I've been familiar with, but, some there's flexibility, some there's not,
Yeah.
Just thought
and
I'd ask.
Given the last couple of years, I don't know that it's in our best interest to try to
I
find
wouldn't,
any.
I would probably agree with you, yeah. So, okay, thank you.
So my train of thought is that because we have timelines that we're up against as far as licensed airport managers, FAA inspections, live drills, is it possible that we could still reach out to our number 2 and then subsequent number 3, but in the meantime, immediately hire ADK so that we could get, get some pressure off of our administrator because she's looking to, have to take that license test and then plus having to get the FAA inspection, where if we had ADK right away.
So the short answer is yes.
Okay, thank you.
So the proposal we have in hand from ADK, there's 2 options for interim airport manager. Option one is a $5,000 finder fee, and then we negotiate with the person they find. Option two is we pay them and they staff it. They did not assign a dollar amount in the proposal we have for the option two,
Okay.
but we could reach out to them and get that.
Do you have budget to cover the cost? Is there some finagling you could do within your internal
So
budget?
I would think there's some finagling, but the other hole we have is we've been without an assistant now since December and a manager now since February. You know, so there's money
January.
there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
And
then,
there's-
so you would have money, you wouldn't
Yeah.
have to negotiate with us and have to go to finance or anything like that. You have a budget you could
And
pull
then,
from.
then there's also,
hiring.
there's also another grant we got from another agreement we entered that we
Okay.
could use some of that money as well.
Great,
I believe
thank
we
you.
still- I believe we still have 92,000 left from that, if that's,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yeah, there's only been the one thing came out of that so far.
Well, that seems like a very logical next move, is to contact them, get someone in interim, and, you know, be able to carry us forward with some of these inspections and paperwork and so forth, while we reach out to the second candidate.
Commissioner.
If we were willing to wait till May 17th for this first one, and the second one seems like they're going to be on May 17th, wouldn't it make sense to make the offer and see what happens?
I don't think that they would be May 17th because we're looking at 60 days from making the offer and we haven't even offered her the position yet, our number two.
Yeah, isn't that
So
only
you're
a month?
thinking it'd be more than 60,
So
or
it
more
would be
than
June.
May 17th? Well, and
Yeah,
the
she's
reason,
thinking 60 days from the date of the offer.
well, I'm thinking, when Ashley and I were going back and forth with, it was either text or email, she mentioned that the other person would be 60 days out, and I asked, well, what's the second person, are they 60 days out as well?
Okay.
And she said, yes, they'd be starting around the same time, and I said, well, it sounds like our first choice is still our first choice. If we get the second person in here sooner, does it make sense to even hire the sub? Because really, we just need the sub, right?
Yeah, so that would be if they were gonna be able to start before, what is the date of the FAA inspection, June?
FAA inspection is in June, but we have the airport manager's test coming or airport manager license expiring April 17th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we have to look at it that, you know, we're putting so much pressure on our administrator to pass this licensing test, which I don't think we should have ever made her do in the first place. I think it's highly, you know, just, it's making her go way above and beyond what her job duties are. Where if we could get ADK in here potentially, do you think we
Well,
could
and-
get them
and it-
before then, or no?
So I'd have to look at their proposal and see in their timeline. I think it's definitely worth a phone call. Myself or Will will make that phone call tomorrow to see, get timeline from them. I think we're at the spot where our best interest is let's do both. Let's get ADK to get the interim, reach out to our number two, see if she still wants it, move forward with her if she does. If not, then we move on having ADK do the search.
How soon can we get ADK to get interim in here?
I don't know that
Yeah.
answer for
Yeah.
sure.
I don't know.
Well, if it's 60 days, then.
Yeah,
or
no,
30 days, or-
Right.
Will, do you remember?
I've already reached out to them and just tentatively told what our situation was, and I have not heard back. It was just towards the end of today that I did, so I expect to talk further tomorrow, depending on where things go here tonight.
Because I would like to offer the number two the position and
Absolutely.
get a week feedback and be like, okay, what do you think you can do?
yeah,
And then,
what if they said 30 days?
yeah, what if they said, hey, I
Yeah.
just sold my house and I could be here next week?
Yeah.
Well, she had originally said that minimum obviously would have been 2 weeks for
Yeah.
it, but then it's
Right.
contingent on housing on the
Right.
backside of that, so.
So what's
Even if we
every,
brought one of the candidates in, they're not gonna be prepared for a FAA inspection.
And that's where I'm thinking if we bring in the interim immediately, that interim is gonna start pulling all the pieces together to kind of package everything up for our permanent when she comes in.
So we hire the intern, and then they would help train in our new administrator. for
Or
the
at least
airport.
get, so this is, ADK's promising someone with a license. So when they get in, they have that license and they can start.
So we're planning on overlap of the two positions, correct?
Yes.
That sounds like it, yeah.
Okay.
excuse me, Chris, did Ashley do anything on your phone? You got, just to find out. I know she's listening.
No, I don't have.
Okay. I've been texting her and she says she is on YouTube with this, so.
I say, I don't have a text from her telling me to shut up.
So I'm just looking through all of my notes that I took during the interview process. And this person that would be our number 2 choice that we would be going to did have an FAA inspection experience of 1 time.
Yep.
So,
And she does have some Part 139 experience.
She does.
She's very
Yes.
familiar with operations on a 139 airport.
Well, we just need her to start right away.
So can we make a motion to officially offer her the position?
Yeah, I think that they have that authority
And,
anyways.
well, and my iPad died, so I can't
Oh.
make the motion.
okay, I'll make the motion to offer the position of airport manager to Kylie Tandy.
I'll support.
Okay, any more discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Then I'd also motion at this time that we, since we're setting the offer out, allow our administrator to get with Brian, or Will, I know they're both working together to,
We'll go
Bring
over
8
options
yeah, with ADK.
with ADK.
I don't think we need a motion for that.
I don't think so either.
No.
I think they have the authority to do that on
Yep.
their own, especially since they have their budget to cover it. Yeah.
All right, then I'll rescind my motion.
Okay.
So,
It was a good effort, though,
so
Matt.
what would, Ashley's texting me left
Yep.
and right here.
Oh, well, let's just see what Ashley has to say.
What did she have to say?
What we just did is what she wanted, she needed the authorization to do.
Yeah, she said awesome,
Okay, good.
Okay, great.
so,
All right.
okay.
So then you guys will get a hold of ADK
Yep.
and see what we can come up with?
Yep.
Thank you.
Will we need another meeting just to meet up and kind of make sure we're on the same page?
I think we can hit your next board meeting, will suffice.
Okay.
That gives us a 2-week window.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yep.
Brian, for.
Thanks,
all your
guys.
work.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you, Will.
Okay,
Thank you, Dennis.
so we are gonna offer the second person the job and go for that.
Yeah.
Okay. Move on, general public comment. Any general public comment?
Oh, hold on, let me check. Sorry.
Seeing none, we will move on to commissioner comments.
No comment.
Commissioner Williams.
I had something, but I don't remember. But please pass on for me because I need to look at my notes.
Okay, Commissioner Kelly.
Yes. Okay. First of all, I'd just like to say that RFP applications are now closed for our opioid task force funds. We received several applications, and those have been sent for review to our task force, and we meet this Friday at 10 a.m. here in the Service Center. So if anybody wants to join us in that meeting, we'll be scoring the applications and making our recommendation to the full board for their next meeting. Commissioner Malner and I attended Core X. It was for pipeline and excavating safety and emergency preparedness. I learned a lot, and I was thankful that I could attend, so thanks, John, for asking me to go there. At the last Escanaba City Council meeting, they have been working on their budget. There will be a lot of road construction and water line replacements again this season, including Ludington Street. Solid Waste Authority is finally settling everything with their 401A and Social Security issues. They also signed an LOI with NWN Renewables for potential gas conversion. This company is also doing work for Marquette landfill, so they will have 180 days to come up with a plan for review, which will be sent to the SWA board. I would like to congratulate Monica Peach of Escanaba for her recent appointment to the Hispanic and Latino Commission of Michigan. Monica is a it was appointed at the end of March by Governor Whitmer, and she aims to help Lansing better serve all of Michigan's Hispanic and Latino residents. And lastly, I would like to congratulate Nicole Kameen, an EHS alumni, and Megan Crow, a GHS alumni, on their NCAA Division II National Basketball Championship with Grand Valley State University. That's all I have.
Commissioner Jensen.
Are you ready?
I do remember.
Okay, go ahead.
Next week, on April 10th, the Parks Commission will meet, and during that meeting, we will be finalizing our 5-year rec plan initial public survey. So that survey is going to be going out to the community in a variety of ways. And so I just want to just set the stage that the community of Delta County is going to be queried for what they, how they use their parks today and how they envision their parks in the future. And that'll be coming out, I would assume, probably the very next week, probably the Monday, the 14th, that survey would be heading out to people. So just keep your eyes open and look out for it.
Commissioner Jensen.
So the only other one for me was the Fair Board. And there's actually, I was surprised, there was considerable length of time put in both within their committee and at the Fair Authority itself, is the age at which our young people can actually show, in this case, beef cows. There's been guidelines, we looked at other states, but within the community, of that community specifically, they're looking at wanting to have kids as young as 3 show beef cows. Well, and that's become kind of a hot topic between the groups. Are they ready and are they able to do that? You know, you have some from the outside looking in and say no. You have others that are there every day, and that, you know, those same kids are literally around that animal all day. So that was actually a very long debate within that committee to begin with, and as well as within the board. So stay tuned. It won't affect this year's fair for those showing, unless for some reason something really happens to come in early that would allow that to be definitive. But that would be something for the 2026 year fair. And of course, they're looking at the centennial coming up here in the near future as well.
Nancy?
Nothing for me, thank you.
And this Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday was a MAC conference down in Lansing. That is our legislative conference, and that's about all I have. Meeting schedule, 4/15/25, right here at the Service Center, and 5/6/25, right here at the Service Center, both at 5:15. No 30-day notices, need an appointment or a motion to adjourn.
A motion that we adjourn?
Support.
All in favor?